Never in the field of human conflict was so much owed by so many to so few. Those famous words of the Prime Minister will echo down the pages of history. We of the British Empire owe a debt of gratitude to the RAF, which there is little chance of our being able to repay. With brilliant daring, these young men, many of them in their teens, more often than not hopelessly outnumbered by the enemy, went up from scores of aerodromes to fight a ruthless foe who came day after day and night after night to kill, murder, and wantonly destroy. Every hour of every day, our gallant airmen were turning the tide of war by their skill, courage, and devotion to duty. High up in the heavens, those knights of the air fought and died. Epic combats often beyond the range of our vision. Spitfires and Hurricanes challenging each other in deadly combat with the enemy host. These scenes were taken during the actual Battle of Britain. They show in vivid detail the remorseless attack of our fighters in the grim struggle not only for the life of Britain, but the freedom of mankind. If we failed, all failed. There was no Dunkirk in this battle. Back to the dromes came the young heroes time and again to refuel and rearm, to snatch a few moments' precious breather before winging into the fight again. The murder of the aged, the women and the children was the deliberate aim of the Hun. Nothing was spared. The palace of the king suffered equally with the home of the commoner. Routed by day, the enemy struck desperately in the darkness. In many of our cities, scenes like this were a constant reminder of the terror by night. Nothing was sacred. The great cathedral of St. Paul's was grievously damaged. Our ancient Guildhall, pride of the city, was destroyed. Take your mind back to those dark days when the King and Queen walked through the battered streets, consoling and helping by their shining example. Mr. Churchill showed his confidence in our spirit and heartened the people by his infectious courage. Scattered over the shores of Britain lay the best tribute to the valiant men who had clawed down from the skies that enemy legion. Battered wrecks of planes that had brought those arrogant Huns on their errand of destruction. On land, too, the twisted remains of the enemy's vaunted Luftwaffe. Goering's graveyard, they called it, a stirring tribute to the skill of our men and the planes they flew. The high courage of our airmen stood between the Hun and world domination. On many an airfield, the King honored them for their valor. The King decorated his knights at his palace. Do you recall the magnificent exploits of Flight Lieutenant Nicholson, whose first flight earned him the Victoria Cross? Or the heroism in a burning plane of Sergeant Hannah, the youngest holder of the VC? Or Sergeant Ward, VC, a New Zealander of Bomber Command? Sir Cyril Newell was then Chief of the Air Staff. Today, Sir Charles Portal occupies that high post. Fighter command is in the hands of Sir Sholto Douglas. Compared with those hectic days of 1940, his machines are vastly superior in number, speed, and gunpowder. Today, new Hurricanes armed with cannon and machine guns roar across the sky. Other daylight daredevils are the famous Hurry Bombers, Hurricanes with a nice line in Air Force eggs. Faster and more deadly armed Spitfires, the latest Beaufighters, twin-engine destroyers, and most powerful of all fighters. When dusk falls, the Nightbirds stretch their wings. On the prowl for the enemy are the ominous but aptly named Defiants. And there are many other types, twin-engined and four-engined, which scour the skies and attack the enemy whenever and wherever he is found. Coastal Command machines protect the shipping near our shores, the nation's lifeblood that ebbs and flows at our ports. giant Sunderlands roam the seas 1,000 miles out. Nearer home range the Lockheed Hudsons on the lookout for enemy raiders and lurking U-boats. Our airmen rate very highly these powerful American machines. In Western Europe today, we are taking the offensive in the air. And day after day, bomber crews are briefed and their great machines prepared for raids over occupied territory in Germany. To smash railways, factories, docks and marshalling yards. To blow up supply dumps, cripple harbors, and wipe out any other strongholds of the enemy. Young knights of the air set off to win their spurs afresh. Into the dusk and through the long, dark hours, braving ice and storm, murderous anti-aircraft gunfire, and many other dangers. On their return, can you wonder that they're bucked at the thought of a dangerous job well and truly done? Sweeps by day, too, are other feats of daring in our ceaseless attack on the Hun. Our pulses quicken as we listen to the wireless reports of our airmen's gallantry. Only too often, though, do we hear that tragic ending. Several of our aircraft are missing. Do you ever reflect that those who do return might be badly wounded and in need of great care and attention, maybe for weeks or months? In some cases, their families may need urgent help. Rightly has it been said that never was so much owed by so many to so few. We ask you please to remember this and do all you can to help by contributing generously to the RAF Benevolent Fund. As Squadron Leader Finucane, DSO, DFC and 2 bars so truly says,
the service does all it can to help officially, but the demands are unending and the resources available can never meet the 1,001 calls for assistance.
Show your gratitude to the men who helped to win the Battle of Britain. To them we owe our very lives. Please give all you can afford. Then men who fly will fly with even lighter hearts. Thank you.